Shamal Kumar says, hi Gary, with history as proof, inequality is simply unfixable. There will always be inequality, especially if you want the economy to boom.
Yeah.
How will you fix it?
Have you ever been to India?
Many times.
I went to Mumbai once, and I stayed in a luxury hotel on that road by the river. And outside the luxury hotel was a family, whole family, basically naked, sleeping on cardboard boxes, and they looked like they were starving to death outside the hotel. Don't fucking tell me inequality has always existed. Don't fucking tell me that. Well, how much poverty is there in India? Yeah, it has to be fixed. It has to be fixed. And listen,
It's not fixable.
150 years ago, that poverty existed here. And we raised tax on the rich to 90%, 95%, and then people like my dad could afford a house and financial security and holidays and food. Don't tell me life is always terrible, because life can get a lot worse, and it has been a lot worse. You get what you protect. You get what you keep. I can't stand this fatalism, because while you are here saying things are always bad, the rich are going to eat us. The rich are going to eat us. Protect yourself. Protect yourself. Don't go into a fight and say, I always lose. You don't protect yourself, you will lose. You have to protect yourself. And listen, don't tell me poverty is equally bad everywhere and has been equally bad everywhere. Okay, because we had a country where the ordinary person had financial security, and we're losing it, and it's worth protecting.
India also has a growing middle class. Growing middle class. 300 million growing. We're going to need millionaires on side for this to work. Can't do this from the bottom up. Need millionaires on side. Need to make it sexy to rid inequality. Exhibit A, my lord. Exhibit A.
Have you seen my picture in The Guardian? My DM's blowing up.
Is it? Really? Wow. Okay. Gary Stevenson, OnlyFans, coming soon, ladies and gentlemen, to raise money for the cause. This is really interesting, because you've talked a lot about World War II, and this question asks, World War II resulted in a big drop in wealth inequality. Do you see any big movement happening without something significantly worse happening first?
I mean,
That's a terrifying idea.
the big move is happening. The wealth inequality is getting worse. So, I've been betting on this for a long time, since back in 2011. I think by then we were already in this state of structurally worsening wealth inequality. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to get worse. Oh my God, this is getting worse. And I was, getting depressed and being a massive downer at dinner parties. And then COVID happened. COVID happened. And does anyone know what the total UK government deficit is now since the beginning of COVID?
Trillion?
£1 trillion. I told you this morning, didn't I?
You did.
Cheating.
Yeah. I'm just playing the game, bro. Playing the game.
£1 trillion, which is £20,000 per adult, an unbelievably large amount of money. And the most amazing thing I've ever seen happen in my life is the government gave out £1 trillion, and not a single person asked who's going to end up with that money. It was unbelievable. It was absolutely unbelievable. And so I did the analysis, and I could see, that it would end up with the rich. And if you want to know why, watch the first video on my YouTube channel. It explains exactly how that money was always going to end up with the richest people in society. And as somebody who was already in a situation of, I've been betting for a long time that inequality will get worse and it will affect living standards really, really badly, I suddenly saw this massive, 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 massive increase. And I was just like, head in hands, this is going to get worse. And the thing about inequality is, inequality breeds inequality. And what I mean by that is, if everybody owns their own home, then nobody's paying money to anyone. But if I own all the homes, then you guys all pay your rent to me, and I can use that money to buy anything else you might own. And then I own even more, and you own even less, which means you have to pay even more to me. So it has this spiraling effect. So I knew once it's increased, then it's going to start increasing even quicker. And that's where we are now. Inequality is much higher now. And you're seeing what that means is you're going to lose your public services, and that means you're going to have to pay out of your own pocket for things like education, for things like healthcare. And it means that the rich have more money to buy houses, which means you're going to have to pay more interest. You're going to have bigger mortgages. You're going to have to pay more rent. So it will get worse. It will get worse. And of course, it's very, very hard for me when we have this question on immigration. It's very hard for me when I look at the economy now and I look at the way politics is going, not to be reminded of the early 20th century. It's very hard for me, and I can see it's going to go that way. And you see things with, for example, the demonization of Muslims in a lot of the media. It's hard for me not to be reminded of what happened in the early 20th century. So it can get a lot worse.
Today's the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz.
Yeah, and it will get worse. And I don't enjoy being a messenger of doom on this. I don't enjoy that. We can stop it. We have to stop it. No one else is going to stop it. It has to be us.
Kath Sutherland asks, have you read the tax and other economics policies of the Green Party of England and Wales? Do you think those policies would address rising inequality?
The Green Party adopted our policy, exactly our policy. They adopted our policy of 1% wealth tax above 10 million. And I would love to say that was me knocking on the door, but it's not just me who campaigns for that, But like us as a group, the people who campaign for it, we got the Greens on board. And, of course, the Greens could do that in the safety of knowing that we're never going to win the election. But we're fucking growing and we have influence. You know what I mean? People who watch the channel will have seen I put out a video. I wouldn't say explicitly endorsing the Greens. I try to remain politically neutral. But if a guy comes in and adopts your policy, you have to say, well, these guys adopted our policy. And I voted Green in the election. But what I want to say on this is politics is not football, This is really, 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 really serious.
I think the media treats it.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be here, Gary Stevenson, Green Party. I will work with whoever. This is serious. And I said on a podcast a few days ago, if Reform in the election, and I think I can work with them to stop this massive exploding poverty, you think I'm not going to do it? This matters, and you have to be pragmatic. We go back to this Shakespeare thing, I don't think we do ourselves any favors by tying ourselves into rigid ideologies. This is about whether your kids have financial security, whether they can afford to have families, whether they can afford to turn the heating on. So if I think working with the Greens gets me what I need, then I'll work with the Greens. But if I think I have to support somebody else, I'll support who I need to. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to stop the country collapsing into poverty.
Rose asks, what can we as individuals do about this? Society, and this is the interesting point in the question, society is becoming more disengaged with politics as nothing changes. So what is the message?
Yeah, this is a really good question. I get this a lot. The channel's growing and people are like, let's do something, let's go. We're not going to win this today. We're not going to win this tomorrow. Of course, I would ask you to share my channel. I always say, send it to your mum. Share the channel, help the channel grow. But what I worry about is that people become so dispirited and so angry that they stop being able to relate to each other, and then it becomes so easy for people who want the public to hate each other to make the public hate each other. So what I would ask you to do, because we're not going to win this today, we're not going to win this tomorrow, I would ask you to take care as much as you can of yourself and the people around you. Build those connections with people in your wider community, people in your workplace, people in your family, because I need you guys to trust each other and speak to each other, because what I'm saying is you guys need to get together to fight the rich, and it's going to be a long fucking fight, and if you guys are going mad and this is going to get worse. This is going to get worse, all right? So dig in, toughen up, take care of yourselves. I know this might sound a bit lame, but this is going to be hard and this is going to be long. I've been betting on this for a long time, and I find it difficult to know that things are going to get worse, and I have difficulties with my mental health sometimes. But stay strong. Just stay strong and hold on and recognize it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So keep going.
Carlos asks, how would you suggest we make a better life for us working class people in terms of educating ourselves and our children
Yeah.
to understand the rules of the game?
You know, I come from Ilford, right? And I grew up in this very Asian community, and it's very like sort of immigrant mentality. Like, we're here, we're going to make something of ourselves. We're going to like figure out the rules of the game. We're going to like climb up. And, you know, and I did, and a lot of my friends did. You know, a lot of my friends, second generation immigrants, and they managed to sort of build themselves up and work their way up. And what we did and what they did is, you know, you study really hard, you do the right subjects, you try and get the right jobs, you try not to spend money, you try to save money, you try to build up assets. These are all good things to do, but you need to also understand the broader context that social mobility is decreasing really quickly. And these kind of gaps that, I'm 38 now, these kind of gaps that me and my mates jump through, they're fucking closing. They are fucking closing. So I see people that tried to do that, and they didn't quite make it. And I see these guys lose their fucking minds. So I want you to be aware that yes, work hard. Yes, study hard. Yes, do what you can. Yes, save up what you can. Yes, buy houses if you can. It's fucking hard. And if you come from a poor background, it's really, 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 really fucking hard. So understand that, and understand that when you judge yourself, and understand that when you judge each other, because we still live with these kind of old school ideas that, you know, you can make it if you just work hard enough. And yet increasingly we live in a society which gives 70, 80% of kids almost no chance. And if we tell these kids you can make it if you work hard enough, and we wave our Rolexes in front of their faces, and then they end up poor, which most people will, the flip side of you can make it if you work hard enough is if you didn't make it, you didn't work hard enough. And that's just not true. That's just not true. So what I've got friends, I went to grammar school, right? So yeah, I've got a lot of sort of middle class friends, but there were some poor kids at that grammar school. And in general, the poor kids at the grammar school ended up getting worse jobs. And in particular, they struggled to get housing because they couldn't get that money from their parents that the richer kids got. But of course, the poor kids, they don't know that the rich kids got given 200 grand by their mum, right? They just think, we fucked up. We fucked up. We fucked up. We didn't work hard enough. I want ordinary people to know that the game is getting really, 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 really hard. And increasingly, you have to work really, really hard just to be able to support any kind of family and any kind of comfort and security. So be proud of yourself if you manage that. Be proud of yourself if you manage that, and, you know, don't go in for all this Balenciaga bullshit. Just be proud of yourself. But also just stop judging each other on how much money you made, because the world, I know very, very, very few people who didn't make pretty much the same amount of money as their dad. And that's not too much to be proud of, if you ask me.
Ross says, what are your recommendations for places to eat in Tokyo?
So there's this one ramen place called Kikambo, which is in a place called Kanda, Kikanbo. They do a thing called karashibi ramen, which is spicy, a traditional spice, but it also has a thing called Szechuan pepper, in Japanese sansho, mountain pepper. And a mixture of that kind of numbs your mouth whilst also making it spicy. It was really, really good for ages, but I went last year in summer and the level just dropped a bit. But for me, that was the place for a long time. Otherwise, look for small places which are being run by a really old man and a really old woman. That is the place you want to go. And if you just say omakase, that means you choose for me. And I think that's a good idea if you can't read the menu.
Okay, well, following on seamlessly from that question, do you think blockchain-based economies offer a cause for optimism or pessimism?
No, you know what? I'm going to finally address this, all right? This is what I want to say about this, right? Imagine you are fucking Satoshi Nakamoto, who is a fake guy who invented a fake currency and is owning like $1 trillion worth, all right? If I was this guy and I have $1 trillion of Bitcoin, and I know if I start selling it, the price will fall to zero, what I'm going to do is sell fucking 100 grand's worth of it, use that money to buy advertising, and then I'm going to sell 200 grand and use that money to buy advertising, and I'm going to work really, really fucking hard to buy a lot of fucking advertising so that all of the world's most naive young men are owning this useless shit and I get all their fucking money. Listen, it's a scam. Look at what Donald Trump did. He comes in, here's a coin, you give me $50 billion fucking dollars, you fucking idiots. Don't fucking buy it.
Well, that answers the question about cryptocurrency, I think. Foxy Roxy asks, yes! How would you convince young white men who understand class discrimination but blame immigrants' women for their economic woes that they need to aim their anger up?
I would ask them.
It's an amazing hum in the audience. That question. Well done, Foxy Roxy.
I would ask them to come, watch a couple of videos on my channel, and then go and look at Andrew Tate, and look at Donald Trump, and look at Nigel Farage, and look at their background, and look at my background, and think long and hard, and to be very careful about who they trust with their futures.
Yeah. Now, love this one. I'm studying economics at A-level and was thinking about doing it at university.
Yeah.
What was it that made you pursue it as opposed to something else maths related?
Well, see, I actually applied half my uni straight maths and half my uni's maths and econ. I was really like a maths kid. Why did I choose econ? It's weird in a way because I was actually much better at maths than I was at econ. But I wanted to get a good job. I'm really, really glad I chose maths and econ as opposed to maths because, you know, I was very good at maths as a kid, but I would get like stuck in like a maths hole, and like I would just be like, I'd be doing so much maths, I'd like lose the ability to like speak to humans. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, we have real big economic problems, and you can't fix them with just maths. But of course, if you study economics nowadays, the subject is extremely, extremely heavily mathematized. So, look, I did 2 years at Oxford, and you know, if there was like 10 of me, I would definitely send one of them to go and do a PhD. And I know I shit on like academia quite a bit, but like we need good people to go into that subject and to try and change that subject. And if you're willing to do that, go do it, because I know you get locked into a fucking windowless room in a library somewhere, like inverting matrices on a whiteboard for 10 years, and it's not much fun. So like, if you are willing to make that sacrifice, go into economics, please, please do.
I know that sounds like fun to some of the people in this room, just to be clear.
Don't forget why you went in there. Don't forget who you're doing it for. But we need people in there. We need people, and you know, we need people in maths as well. We need people in every field, man. We need everybody to push this. But yeah, go into economics. Just remember why you went into it. That's what I would say.
Well, Jude Buxton asks, how can we trust what you're saying without you explaining the maths models which back it up? And how important is it that your ideas align with these models?
If you want, I went to Oxford 2 year masters, and I wrote a thesis using these models, and it's on my website, which I don't promote the website much because it's like, you know, nobody wants to like read like. It's like, you know what, the website is actually quite good. It used to be called wealtheconomics.org, and now it's Gary's Economics. Anyone read the website? Exactly. See, this is why I'm on YouTube.
That's right, on YouTube.
But the thesis is on the website. You know what? You shouldn't just blindly trust me. You should not blindly trust me, and you shouldn't blindly trust anyone. You shouldn't blindly trust Nigel Farage. You shouldn't blindly trust Donald Trump. You shouldn't blindly trust George Osborne. You shouldn't blindly trust Keir Starmer. You should be skeptical, but you should also have your eyes open and see what's happening around you, see what's happening to your family, see what's happening to your community, see what's happening to your living standards, and you should be willing to engage that. At the end of the day, whether you care about politics or not, you are in politics, and you do have to get involved, and you do have to try and back something. If you don't protect yourself, people will come for your wealth. But don't trust me blindly. I would never ask anyone to trust me blindly. You know, I think I'm a trustworthy person, and I try my best to be honest, and I try my best not to lie. But you guys have to make your decisions, you know, and I fight my fight to win you guys over, and you should be critical, and you should ask questions. But if you don't pick a team, I guarantee you the rich have picked theirs. So make your choice.
Matt asks, as the debt mountain rises in the UK, can you see a solution to the current high global borrowing costs? Are other countries caught in this downward spiral?
Yeah, we are kind of at the front line of this because our interest rates are quite high, some of the highest in the rich world, and we're combining that with low growth, which is like a bad combo, so we're probably in the worst situation. I actually think the most likely scenario here is that inflation comes down over the course of this year and interest rates come down over the course of this year, and the kind of boot on the neck of the government and the British economy will probably loosen a little. That's not something that I'm very confident on, so don't come back at me if that's wrong. I think that's the most likely scenario. So hopefully that will come off a little bit. But because we gave so much money away during COVID, and because the inequality situation has worsened so much, inequality is not just an abstract thing, right? Inequality means you have less resources, they have more resources. And if you want stuff, you need resources. So you're in a situation where you have to borrow from them. And this will continue to be a problem, probably. Because even if rates come down, what you'll probably see then is government will spend a little bit more and rates will go back up again. But this is the reality of having no resources. You know, Thomas Piketty, a French economist who I like a lot, he does these graphs of how much wealth the government has. And you see, back in the 70s and 80s, government had a lot of wealth. And then when I picked up the graphs in 2016, 2017, government wealth in the UK and the US and France and basically every Western country had dropped to zero, which means the total amount of hospitals and schools they own is cancelled by the entire amount of debt. That was before COVID. So government wealth is massively negative now. And you have to accept the reality of that. And what I'm trying to encourage you to do, and also trying to encourage the government to do, is view this what it is, which is a battle for resources, which you're losing. And I think when people hear me talk about tax, they think oh, he wants to come and he wants to tax my dad, he wants to tax my son. I'm trying to protect your interest in this battle for resources. If you don't tax them, they will get the resources. That is why you're getting poorer. Why do you think the stock market is at an all-time high when living standards are collapsing? You are losing the battle for resources. And what I'm saying is, cut your taxes, raise their taxes, and then you will stop losing the battle for resources. So I think the situation for the UK government, I hope it does improve, but this battle for resources is not going to end, and the inequality is going to keep increasing. So even if it does happen, inflation drops and interest rates drop, house prices and stock prices will go through the fucking roof. And what is that going to do for young people in this country? For it's quite dark here. Some of you are older. For you might own your own property. What is that going to mean for your kids and for your grandkids if house prices double? The gold price has doubled. House prices could double. So I want you to realize that this power inequality, growing power inequality, it might manifest in the bond markets, stamping on Rachel Reeves, and you might think that's funny, but it might also manifest in your kids not being able to afford a home. So you need to fight that battle for resources.
This question starts with a comment. Firstly, fuck the FT for that hit piece. Secondly, my question is, how do you think Trump will affect the UK economy?
Fuck the Financial Times is actually literally a direct quote from my book. Yeah. But they longlisted me for Financial Book of the Year, so thanks.
Brilliant,
yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Win-win.
So what was the second part of the question? I was comment.
Yeah, I love that quote. Firstly, fuck the FT for that hit piece. My question is, how do you think Trump will affect the UK economy?
Oh my God, we've got a video on this coming out on Thursday, actually. So we've got a bit of time. So towards the end of my book, there's this period I'm trying to quit. And they're coming for me, and I have all these meetings, and I have this mad situation. I'm in one meeting, and a guy shouts in my face for an hour. And then immediately afterwards, there's a meeting where everyone's like, we love you and support you. And the same guy is in the meeting. And it's kind of made me realize, powerful people, they do this weird thing where they say whatever they think will get them the reaction and the effect they want in that. They treat conversations like a game. Ordinary people think I say something because I believe it or because I think it. Rich people and powerful people, especially in official context, they just say whatever they think will work in the time. I think it's not even correct to say Trump is dishonest. Trump is just a game player. The line I use in my book is there are no dishonest moves in chess. So when Trump says shit, you need to understand, there is no relationship between what Trump says and what he believes and what he does. Trump says things to get a reaction. So it's almost impossible for me to sit here and tell you what Trump will do, how it will affect the economy, because we have no idea what he will do. But I'll tell you what he will do. He'll protect his interests. He'll protect the billionaire interests. He'll cut taxes on the rich. And that will only be bad for inequality. And that's only going to make things worse.
Unknown T asks, how can I become a trader in today's market for the likes of JP Morgan, Citi, Morgan Stanley, and Goldman Sachs? So
Unknown T, what's your dad's job?
Unknown T. I think presumably calling yourself Unknown T means you don't want to be...
it's a very... Unless you... Did we get an answer?
Huh?
Unless you come from a very well-off family, it's almost impossible. I mean, take me, right? I got some of the best grades in the whole university, right? I had guaranteed a first after 2 years of a 3-year degree. I was kind of famous for having such good grades. And I got my job by cheating in a card game.
Wow.
So, good luck.
So just give us a very short summary of how those really average rich dudes, largely men, virtually all men, well we count, are getting those jobs.
You have to put all your stuff, all the stuff.
Firstly, unknown T. If you're going to sound like a grime MC, you might not do that. That's the first thing.
Unknown T is a cool name. You have to do these. You have to put all this extracurricular stuff in, right? So, like, rich parents, they give the kids all this mad stuff. Yeah. I always remember when there was a time when Prince Harry was like, I'm going dirt biking through the Sahara Desert for charity. And I remember thinking, that's like the best holiday ever. But these guys somehow put that on their CV. I founded a charity that drives dirt bikes through the Sahara Desert. And they get a job for that. While I'm fluffing pillows at DFS next door. But that's the first thing. But the second thing is there's a little box at the end of that application form. Please put in here anybody you know at the bank. It's as simple as fucking that, mate.
Now, my last question, and I'm going to finish on this one. Please, can you explain FX swaps? Like I'm 5 years old.
Oh my God, yeah. This is good, this is in the book. So, an FX swap is just a collateralized loan, right? So basically, it's like a pawn shop, right? You want to borrow money.
P-A-W-N.
Yes, P-A-W-N. Sorry. You want to borrow money, you want to borrow like 100 quid, you go to the pawn shop, you give them a gold watch, right? And that is a collateralized loan. If I'll borrow money for 100 quid, you give me 100 quid, no collateral. But if I say, oh, here's, this is the first copy of my book, that's collateralized, you've got something. An FX swap is just a collateralized loan, but the collateral is another currency. So I borrow 100 quid from you, and what I give is, 110 euros. It's as simple as that, it's just a loan, a collateralized loan, but collateralized with another currency. But then obviously what makes it be interesting is because you can then view it from two perspectives. So you're borrowing one currency, then doing another. Does that make sense? It's like going to a pawn shop.
Did that make sense to the person who asked the question? Yes?
I've lost you now, haven't I?
Yes.
He's never used a pawn shop in his life.
No, I haven't. No, not PAW in one anyway. Let's finish on that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Now, there are some people who have not collected their books from the foyer. So if that's you, those books are waiting for you. Good luck in your economic studies. Good luck. Wish you all the best in that. And ladies and gentlemen, all it remains to say is very, very, very loud round of applause.